All right, here we go, editing a podcast. In this particular case, this is Random Chatter's Echo Base, episode number 107. And the reason that I'm doing this is because I also am the producer for a podcast called Chordcast, and we're actually leaving the Random Chatter Network at the end of the month, and so I will be focusing solely on producing Chordcast, and so I want to show Random Chatter Network specifically how I edit podcasts so that they can just take anything I show them and use it themselves. So I am going to be using Reaper to do this. It's what I use for basically everything. I have my track right here that you can hear me through, and just so it's not a distraction, I am going to delete it. So there are 3 hosts on Echo Base. There's Chris, Tim, and Lou. And what I'm going to do is go up to... let's see here. I think it's under View. There's the Docker. And what I'm going to look for is the Media Explorer. And right here I have...
Now that it's...
All right.
Now that it's...
I don't want to hear the preview there, so I'm going to grab Lou's track. I'm going to grab Chris's track way up there. And I'm going to throw Tim's track
recording
right there. All right, so right off the bat, a few things that I do are on every track I have an EQ, a gate, and then a multiband compressor. Going along, if I feel the need to edit anything beyond a high-pass filter, I'll do that. Otherwise, I don't really see a huge need to. All right, so let's scroll way in here. Go back to the beginning. And what I ask all the hosts to do anytime I edit a podcast is to give me 30 seconds of silence. And I'm going to explain why right now. Here's that 30 seconds of silence, which actually is kind of funny. You can't hear the silence because it's gated. Usually I like Lou's room tone the most, so I'm just going to go with his. And I'm going to bring it down here. And then I'm just going to duplicate it over and 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 over. Let's zoom out here. Select all. Duplicate. All the way to the end. And I went way over, so I'm going to select anything that went over. Delete that. And so now, when I have somebody gated, and take Chris for example, you can hear him talk.
Yeah.
You can hear him talk here.
I had to get rid of it, or had to get it out of the way.
Right? But now you can't hear that room tone, which if I killed the gate, you can hear, right? But I want them to all sound like they're in a room, and on top of that, I want them to sound like they're all in the same room, which is why I only take one of the room tones. And so when you have the room going with it,
I had to get rid of it, or had to get it out of the way.
Right. It's not distracting, but there's no silence. There's no just kind of awkward silence, which I love. All right, so let's dive right into this. Oh, one other thing to note. Anytime I have more than 2, if I have 2 hosts, I'll keep it mono. At least I'll keep them, I won't pan them left or right. If there's any music, that'll be stereo. But when I have more than 2 hosts, I will start to pan things around. And so Tim gets to go 50% right, Chris gets to go 50% left, and that adds a nice stereo separation between everybody. Gives it kind of a round table sort of a feel. And what I also do is I listen to the podcast while I'm editing it at generally about 1.6 speed. Real time, it would just take way too long on an hour long. I just don't have enough time in the day. And so I'll speed it up. And if I need to, if I can't understand what somebody's saying, or if there's a reason I need to slow it down, I'll bring it back down to the normal speed. And in Reaper, you want to do the preserve pitch and audio items. Otherwise, they all sound like chipmunks, right? So if that's not selected, then...
I always do that now. Okay, so I think we're ready to go.
And it's funny, but it's not really practical. when you're trying to edit. All right, so now I need to find the beginning of the podcast.
Longer every time.
One yet.
That's where they complain about the 30-second pause. And I think this is probably the beginning.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Echo Bay.
I was correct. So now I'll select all the tracks, delete anything before that, and just bring that all right to the front.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Echo.
All right, so what I'm going to do to start off here is I'm gonna edit all 3 of these tracks. I'm going to make sure that if they're talking over each other, that that you can still understand what they're trying to say, or I will just pick who I think needs to be heard more than the other. Like, let's say Tim and Lou are talking over each other, and I think what Lou is saying is more important. I'll just delete whatever Tim said, just to make sure. I want to make sure that the podcast is always very clear, that it's consistent, and that no one's going, wait, what'd they say? So, let's go.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Echo Base. It's a nice balmy 70, 80, 90 degrees here in...
I am doing so good, Lou.
Chris, how are you tonight?
I am doing so good, Lou.
So good because I called
Thank
you
you for
first.
asking.
Yeah.
Case in point, right here.
So good because I called
Thank
you
you for
first.
asking.
All right, so I'll go back down to normal speed.
So good because I called
Thank
you
you for
first.
asking.
Still can't tell at all what anybody's saying, so I'm going to go back up to 1.6. I'm going to pick and choose who gets deleted and who doesn't.
So good because I called
Thank
you
you for
first.
asking.
Okay, so Chris is saying...
I am doing so good, Lou. So good. Thank you for asking.
what am I going to do here? I'm... Let's see, what's Tim saying?
Fake it till you make it.
He's saying fake it till you make it. That doesn't sound relevant to me, so I'm going to delete it.
So good because I called
Thank
you
you for
first.
asking.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to delete that. So
good, Lou.
So good because I called you first.
in the context of this, last week on Echo Base, Chris brought up the fact that Lou always introduced Tim first. So Lou introduced Chris first, and so it's like, oh, yay. All right, let's keep going.
So good, Lou.
So good because I called you first. Yeah. Okay. Well,
That was I was sitting here waiting to see if you remember that, and you did, and it makes me so proud. Despite your old age, your memory is still
oh,
alive.
you had to go there. Just because I wrote it down, ask. Jeez, making sure you're outside the. Jeez, making sure. Jeez, making sure.
All right, so let's see what that sounds like at normal speed.
Jeez.
All right, that just sounds like a cough to me, so I'm going to delete it, even though I'm pretty sure it's a laugh. It just sounds like a cough.
Well, tonight.
I'm doing pretty decent.
The other voice you heard was Tim. Tim, how are you?
No, I see. I'm okay with that.
You're sad they didn't call you first?
Okay, Tim is off here.
The other voice you heard.
In fact, actually, let's go back up here. And let's move this whole thing there.
Yeah? Okay, well,
Fake it till you make it.
That was I was sitting here waiting to see if you would remember that, and you did, and it
Still doesn't make any sense. All right,
remember that, and you did, and it makes me so proud. Despite your old age, your memory is still
oh,
alive.
you had to go there.
but that laugh makes more sense.
Wrote it down, ask Chris first.
Wow.
Wrote it down.
Just gonna delete that. Not needed.
For you.
I'm doing pretty decent.
You're sad they didn't call you first?
No, I see. I'm okay with that.
See, someone's an adult.
Wow.
So you're gonna hear this sound. That lovely sound 800 times during this edit, and I will delete every single one.
That's okay. But
Okay.
both of you go to corners. Go to your rooms.
Okay.
I got this show. Later, guys.
Okay, good. I'm out. Time for bed. See ya.
Yeah. We also have some listener emails.
We do. We're going to get to that
Which is
shortly.
exciting stuff.
Oh man.
Good stuff.
Okay, so here's another situation where I'm like, what's going on?
Yeah. We also have some listener emails.
We do. We're going to get to
Which
that
is
shortly.
exciting stuff.
Oh man.
Okay, so we'll delete that, delete that.
Yeah. We also have some listener emails.
We do. We're going to get to
Which
that
is
shortly.
exciting stuff.
Oh man.
Okay, and I'm gonna do this. Do that.
Emails, which is exciting stuff.
We do. We're going to get to that shortly.
Oh man.
Good stuff.
Chris
That's
sounds
like a
really
whole
excited.
show itself.
And we're making you read those, Chris. Let's see. First,
Okay, alright, let's see. Kill that breath, kill that.
That's
and
like a whole.
let's make this less awkward.
Oh man.
Good stuff.
That's like a whole show itself.
Okay, so we'll kill the old man. Come over here. Let's see.
Good stuff.
Good stuff. Don't need that. Chris says it right
to
here.
that shortly. Shortly.
That's like a whole show itself.
It,
Okay, come here.
we're making you read this, Chris.
All right, bring this laugh. Oops, don't want to delete the whole track. Bring that laugh there.
We're making you read this, Chris.
Bring up a little
Making you read this, Chris.
Okay, now bring this whole thing up.
Show
We're making you.
There.
show itself.
We're making you read this, Chris.
All right, and now I can bring all of this up.
Let's see. First off,
All right, so now this whole interaction here is way less awkward. Let's go back up to 6.6.
Yeah. We also have some listener emails, which is exciting stuff.
we do. We're gonna get to that shortly.
That's like a whole show itself.
We're making you read this, Chris. Let's see. First off, you guys are fans of the Freemaker Adventures from Lego? No, I shouldn't have known, but I asked Chris. Hey, Chris, are you reading the Inferno Squad?
I've actually never
Yeah,
seen
I'm
it.
Chris, do you like Star Wars?
Okay, something got screwed up here.
No,
Yeah,
I've actually never seen it.
Chris, do you like Star Wars?
Okay, let's go back down here.
Chris. Hey, Chris, are you reading the Inferno Squad?
No,
Yeah,
I've actually never seen it.
Chris, do you like?
yeah, yeah,
All right, I'm gonna delete the ha.
yeah.
Can delete that. Blah blah blah. Go over here. Shorten this gap, and bring this whole thing up.
No, I've actually never seen it.
Chris, do you like Star Wars? Do you like Star Wars?
Okay, that's just
No.
babbling.
Actually, I saw Freemaker Adventures on last night. And I was like, you know, I could watch.
I can
this,
watch.
Okay, something got screwed up here. So I'm gonna figure out where this got so thrown off.
Chris. Hey, Chris, are you reading the Inferno Squad?
but no, I've actually never seen it.
Chris, do you like Star Wars?
No.
Oh, you know what? It got screwed up when I moved that up. Okay, so let's go back. Undo until I get this timeline figured out. There, I think that was part of it.
Hey, Chris, are you reading the
No.
Inferno Squad?
I've actually never
Yeah,
seen it.
No, it still doesn't make any sense. Let's keep going back. Why is this so off? Alright. Oh, I'll redo everything. Aha! Did you see that? There it is.
Let's see.
No,
No,
I've actually never seen it.
I shouldn't have known, but I asked Chris. Hey, Chris, are you reading the Inferno Squad?
No.
Yeah,
Chris, do you like Star
Actually,
Wars?
I saw Freemaker Adventures on last night, and I was like, you know, I could watch this, but then he loves it, and I'm just not going to because I don't want to be like him.
Wow.
Let's go back up to 1.6.
Wow.
I can watch this, but no, I'm not gonna. Wait, that's a Star Wars.
Alright, check real quick to make sure I don't have any comments or anything. Nobody's saying anything in live chat. Cool. I highly doubt Slack's saying anything, especially considering I need to start this whole thing over. Alright. Let's keep going.
Wow.
I can watch this, but no, I'm not gonna. Wait, that's a Star Wars fan for you. Watch this, but no, I'm not gonna. Wait, that's
Let's see.
Ouch.
Ouch.
this, but no, I'm not gonna. Wait, that's a Star Wars fan.
We'll do that.
I can watch this, but no, I'm not gonna. Wait, that's a Star Wars fan for you.
Wow.
And I'm just not going to because I don't want to be like him.
Wow.
So Chris is what?
And I'm just not going to because I don't want to be like him.
Oh. So I'm actually going to move the ouch up here.
Wow.
I can watch this, but no, I'm not gonna. Wait, that's a Star Wars fan for you.
See, and that might be a record for Derek to get mentioned this early in a show.
I know it's only like 5
Had to,
minutes
get,
in.
had to get rid of it,
Yeah.
or had to get it out of the way.
Get out of the way.
No, I like Freemaker Adventures. It's not something that I like. I can't say I've seen every episode of it, but I do watch it if I see it. They're kind of doing a marathon. Wait for they can edit out the motorcycle.
Oh, this is interesting. You can't hear the He just said.
Wait for the edit out the motorcycle.
Edit out the motorcycle. What motorcycle?
Or wait for the
There's a gate, right? So if I kill the gate,
or wait for the edit out the motorcycle.
all right, that's why I have a gate in the first place. So what I'm going to do here is go here,
Yeah.
go here, here, delete that whole thing. Oops. Delete this, and then when I bounce this down to a 2-track and edit that, I will. Oh, it's funny as I just made the sound that I hate and edit out of everything. I will. Make this. I like to do what's called ripple editing when I'm doing the final 2-track of a podcast, which means if I edit something, like if I took, for instance, this and wanted to delete it, that will shift forward. Why did I bring that up? Why did I bring up ripple editing? And so yeah, so if I delete an I'll kill the but it'll shift everything forward, so I don't have to delete an and then manually grab that item and bring it forward, which is cool. Right.
It's a fun show. I enjoy it.
Yeah, I think anything like
There's that sound I don't like.
Yeah, I think anything Lego does is pretty good. So, and like you, I can't say I've watched every episode faithfully, but sorry for the delay.
Yeah.
But
And so I don't need to listen to every single thing they're saying when I'm at this stage. I'll listen to it more intently when I'm editing that final 2-track bounce between everybody. But for now, it's really just about making sure that they can be heard clearly over one another, that they're not talking over each other. And so I'm just looking for, like, when Lou's talking, I'm going to look for when Tim when they have an interaction, right? So if someone goes on like a 3-minute little spiel all by themselves, I'm not going to listen to that whole thing until later.
sorry for the delay.
Yeah.
But
August 1st. That's tonight, right now.
See, now you're going to make me look bad, because now when it comes out on August 15th, people are like, why did it take Lou 15 days to edit the show? You know, okay.
That's surprisingly accurate. This is probably going to be done in 2 days, which will be the 15th. Way to go, Lou.
Look bad, because now when it comes out on August 15th, people are like, why did it take Lou? Look bad, because now when it comes out. A bit of news about that, though. John Ratzenberger is redoing his role for Major Drillin.
Cliff.
That's pretty good. Yeah, I know. Hey, Cliffy.
I think it's cool that he's still in the loop here.
All right. Don't need that.
I think it's cool that he's still in the loop here. Yeah, so he's
It was one
going
of those things where when I saw that as a kid,
I'll edit that out here.
yeah, so he's
it was one
going
of those things where when I saw that as a kid, I was like, exactly.
Yeah, it's. I think it's kind of cool to see actors do that, even if it's just a little.
Exactly.
Okay, don't need that.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's. I think it's kind of cool to see actors do pretty good.
Yep, no, I agree. Kind of like having James Bond in a Stormtrooper outfit.
Exactly. Although we didn't really get to see him, but
I know, damn it. I know.
But
I know, damn it. Let's see. Speaking of other stuff that borrows the Star Wars universe for their video, do these kind of things.
Yeah, it's almost like they don't want to take any risks. Right. Right.
I knew he was going to go there. No, you're absolutely right, Chris. I mean, this is one way that they're kind of closing off fan film stuff. Because it's not really a fan.
All right. I got to watch out. Tim will often clear his throat. And so I've got to be on the lookout for waveforms that kind of have that shape that just... Like to me, it has a very clear shape. Especially you get to know people's waveforms after you edit them for so long, and so I got to keep my eye out for that because it's also very close to a yep or mm-hmm, and so I've got to keep an eye out for that.
Fans of Star Wars. I mean, why would you do this if you weren't a fan of it? I mean,
yeah, and things like the Robot Chicken episodes, the Family Guy episodes. Yes, they were parodies. They were fun to the
Definitely.
folks in it and the characters and all that stuff. Enjoy both Robot Chicken and in.
So the gate's not going to catch everything. Right, that got through, so I'm going to delete that.
Them to use sound effects and all this other stuff without jumping through any licensing hoops. We're doing things as they had in the past, but Disney that they're taking, which hopefully they will still allow this stuff to happen. There's nothing that we're reading that says that they're denying requests. It's just slower going and more bureaucratic.
exactly. I mean, Disney is a big company, no doubt about it. Much bigger than Lucasfilm. So they're going to protect everything they have. I mean, they paid, what was the number they paid Lucas for?
All right, I think it's another throat clear. Yep.
For Lucasfilm. I mean, it was a lot of money. And it was a lot of money. And
Let's make sure that that's clear at real-time speed.
for Lucasfilm, it was a lot of money. And
If I delete what Lou says there,
film,
A lot.
Over $4 billion.
Yeah, it was a lot of money.
Let's see, way more clear. All right, let's go back up to 1.6.
Film, and you want to protect that. And I guess I don't understand why they don't see that people that are doing things with Star Wars going forward, you know, do.
Mm-hmm.
Do they still do the fan film awards?
That's a good question.
I'll fix that gap later.
Gosh,
How about
I thought
Tim,
they did them for
you can
Celebration, didn't they?
look that up and confirm whether or not they still do it. Well, I say this. I think that, yeah, protecting, you know, a franchise like Star Wars is important, especially when you paid so much money to buy the company that it's based off of. When you paid so much money to buy the company that it's based off of into Star Wars because of Family Guy or Robot Chicken. Yeah, you know, a lot of people balked at the idea of Star Wars Detour.
A lot of the I'll delete later.
They don't want to take away from the hype of the movies and Star Wars fatigue, and that's something we'll get to later in the episode, but with something else. But you can prevent things like that, but still let, you know, little fan creations like this happen, because it's not like, you know, they're making money off of a complete ripoff of it. They're parroting a franchise that we all love, and you know, some of the best things are and the fact that it's difficult for that to happen is actually kind of sad, because it's really talented people that, like you said, love Star Wars.
I mean, I guess I would have a problem if I was Disney and they wanted to have an unknown. You've never done anything before. We don't know what you've done. You've never done anything before, so why am I going to let you do this? But if someone like, you know, there's a track record there, and that's probably what's causing the slowdown. But
All right, so here's a case of an I will delete because it goes over Tim saying, yep. Right, so he says, yep.
That's
and Lou says, so I'm going to delete that.
something.
Yeah.
That's probably what's causing the slowdown. But do it, you know, now it's let me talk to Daddy.
Yep.
That's a yep and not a throat clear, so it stays.
And see if they say it's okay to do it. And I'll go ahead and so.
Yeah. As far as I know, they are still doing the Fan Film Awards. I have off of the StarWars.com website. We have the 2016. That's something that they end up watching all of them. You hope that's something that remember watching all of them. And they're really great. There's some terrific ones in there. So if folks aren't familiar with them, go to StarWars.com. Just do a quiz in there. So just do a quick terrific ones in there. So if folks aren't familiar with them, go to StarWars.com. Terrific ones in there. So if folks aren't familiar with them, go to StarWars.com.
So what I just did right there is it's very minute, but if I solo it,
Good.
you can very clearly hear that cut at the end.
Good.
But if I bring in this crossfade, a pretty significant crossfade.
Good.
Yeah, you can still kind of hear it, actually. Let's try changing the type of crossfade.
Good.
There we go. And now you can't really tell there's a cut.
They're really great. There's some terrific ones in there. So if folks aren't familiar with them, go to StarWars.com. Just do a quick search for Fan Film Awards, and you will see them in there. And there's some really, really great ones. I mean, you've got things that kind of in the classical style of Troops, if you remember Troops from, 15 or 20 years ago. Yeah. Where it's, you know, there's also some animation in here. There's some stop action stuff. There's some really, really neat things. So definitely check them out. They're worth watching.
Cool.
What the heck was that? Just some hammering in the background.
Cool.
Throat clear.
Let's see. We did.
Let's kill that.
Let's see. We did have some confirmation of new. Let's see. We did have some confirmation of this movie.
We do not.
I know Spencer did the Darth Vader. He was the guy in the suit, but
and I definitely would not expect him to be reprising the role of Darth Vader in this film.
I hope not. Yeah, I would not think so.
I mean, I'm guessing that. I'm guessing that.
I would expect Warwick is not being a.
I mean, I'm guessing that.
I would expect Warwick is not being a Ewok again.
No, probably not. Probably not. Although, I mean, he's a Jedi.
I think so. Yep.
So yeah, he's. I mean, big tall dude. He could be playing a Wookiee. He could be playing some other alien. He could be playing just a big.
I guess I don't want to know either. I mean, I'll wait to say. I'm.
Yeah.
So. I really want to see that now.
Yeah.
So. Really want to see that now.
Yeah.
Really, I don't really want to see that now.
Yeah.
I'll do the same here.
I really want to see that now.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll be happy without knowing anything. I think Chris feels the same way because Chris is being very quiet.
Yes, I do. I'm just like.
I mean, you
All right, move the very quiet over here.
the same way because Chris is being very quiet.
Very quiet.
Yes, I do. I'm just like.
I mean, you feel exactly the same way I do about the Han Solo movie, so I.
Yeah, and I am hopeful that I go into this having seen the trailers like a couple times. Just not because I hate Star Wars before someone says it, because I legitimately want
Here?
one of my rankings.
Yeah.
Well, I think you're always better off going into a movie without having all the things.
One of my rankings.
Yeah.
Well, I think you're always better off going into.
Another throat clear, I think. Nope, just a bang. Don't want it.
of my rankings.
Yeah.
Well, I think you're always better off going into a movie.
Keep going.
I mean, the director wanted to surprise you with some things, and by searching out and knowing it all, you're taking from. And I don't know how I stayed spoiler free, but I did.
All right, I'm gonna move that. Yeah, to the gap.
Spoiled for him.
Yeah.
And I don't know how I stayed spoiler free, but I did.
And Lou actually goes fully to the extent with this. He was totally floored and shocked when he saw Titanic. I mean, he's very committed to this no spoiler thing. Very committed.
I am. Yeah, exactly. I am. Yeah, exactly.
Very committed.
I am. Yeah, exactly. Oh boy. Okay, so more good news.
Fix this.
Okay.
I'll fix this. Little 4-second gap here later.
Okay, so that doesn't worry anybody, right?
No, and I'll tell you why. Because it happens in movies.
I know.
People write first drafts and
Yep.
second
This was a
drafts
first draft, a second draft, and a working script, and it's totally normal for a movie.
like people were like Michael Arndt, and now we have JJ and Lawrence doing this. But I think this is just like, oh yeah, we got the writer.
Why does it keep muting? So there's a ghost in the system that keeps wanting to mute Lou. I don't know what it is.
Yep.
Yeah, this is just an additional. I mean, there's films get so many writers, and they go through so many drafts.
Let's kill that.
So many writers, and they go through so many drafts of big picture. In a couple of years, this one's episode 9. So yeah, episode 9. So.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. The article that we're talking, nothing in this article that's new.
Yeah.
I mean, it says this may rewrite, and then I'm like, this is like news, and the rest of it is not. I'm like, you're just crazy about it. So
welcome to the Hollywood Reporter.
So far away.
Yes, it
2019. Oh
yes,
boy.
It does.
Okay, let's see. Where are we here? Well, I guess we'll jump into our discussion. What was where was this from, Tim? What was the
New York Post?
New York Post.
Big
This is
time
from the
news.
New York Post.
This is not the Hollywood Reporter. This is big time news.
This is not fake news. Yeah.
Hollywood Reporter.
Delete all that, because that sounds like this.
This is not fake news.
Don't need that. Kill it. No, not the whole track.
This is from the New York Post.
This is not the Hollywood Reporter. This is big time news.
This is.
I'm gonna go kill it in post.
This is from the New York Post.
This is not the Hollywood Reporter. This is big time news.
This is not fake news. Yeah, this is real stuff. The title of the article is "Star Wars Toy Fatigue May Finally Be Setting In." Shelf.
I think that's the point.
Yeah, but no.
All right, kill that. Inhale.
That's the point. I think that's the point. There's okay. So
I mean, to me, if it was fatigue, it'd be just.
Let's go back to real time. See what's going on here.
There's okay. So
I mean, to me, if it was fatigued, it'd be just.
Just people talking over each other, like in a little discussion. So that's fine.
Pegs no one's buying.
That's the point. Like I went to Target recently. They had all of the Rogue One stuff on clearance.
This mute thing's driving me nuts because it's auto mute. Why would it be auto muting? That's weird. Whatever. I'll figure it out later.
Oh, I agree.
And I think some of it is because.
Well, see, I'm not sure about that though. I mean, the 40th anniversary stuff.
Putting it on the shelves. And don't get me going on the 40th anniversary stuff. That was the worst promotion I have ever seen from a company ever. They just totally flopped on this 40th anniversary.
What is this? I'm gonna save that. What are you doing, Lou? Let's put that there. Save that for later. Mute that track for now.
Stuff.
I want to listen to it again. What was that even? Anyways.
I have ever seen from a company ever. They just totally flopped on this 40th anniversary thing.
Well, part of me is like, well, okay.
Well, I mean, I don't know. The 40th anniversary stuff I've seen it out there. I've seen it going away because people want it.
Shame on you, Walmart, for not selling the 400 Constables. We know it is our fault for not putting him in the movie, but darn it, you should be.
So, I usually don't like that inhaling.
We know it is our fault for not putting him
after. It usually happens after a laugh, right? Makes sense in a room, with a real conversation with a real person, but in a podcast, any kind of heavy breathing, I just don't like. So I kill it. Let's keep going.
Our fault for not putting him in the.
That's the thing. I'm thinking about 3 3/4 stuff that you see there for the non, I'll call it the non-collectible stuff if you want to call it that. You do see a lot of that, and it disappeared quickly.
Mm-hmm.
But the other stuff still stayed. The stuff that nobody's buying, but the collectible stuff, the stuff that's in limited supply.
Yeah. I think that there are, and I will say this because the Black Series stuff there are unpopular ones. Again, consoles. I maybe 3 people in the world bought it. Beyond that,
This auto mute thing. Why?
maybe 3 people in the world bought it. Beyond that, I just don't know. But there is also a measure of them getting the stuff out there. The most is none of it, 0. And if it was out there, there are probably 4 mine. I take them out, I buy them.
I mean, I've been a
They're mine. I take them out, I buy them.
I mean, I've been a completist for the Black Series stuff since, with the exception of Zuvio. I finally did break down about Zuvio, but if I saw a new one there, I'd be like,
You're
I
the
need-
one.
yeah, I'm one of the 3. If I see one that I know I don't have that number, I'm like, oh, I gotta buy this, and I'll pick it up. And there's something. I'm like, why can't I never spot this? And I've seen some of them, swinging some of the, swinging some of the, in the store for $19.99 for the one I really need to get, bucks for the one.
Sounded like Chris was gonna say something, but changed his mind.
Available.
Yeah.
I mean, I can see if it was just 1 or 2 I couldn't find, but
I'm seeing
whole
this stuff
reason
sell. I mean, that's you go in the store now. I can go into.
Oh, Chris, you tried. You tried to say something.
We'll see.
Oh well, you got a we'll see in there. So what I'll do is I'll squeeze that right there.
but
We'll see.
I'm seeing
whole
this stuff
reason
sell. I mean, that's.
Okay, let's fix this.
if it was just 1 or 2 I couldn't find, but
We'll see.
I'm seeing.
All right, so let's kill that. Kill that gap. Bring this all forward. Oh, but I made this mistake before. Also select that.
couldn't find.
Yeah,
We'll see.
I'm
the
seeing
whole
this stuff
recent
sell.
wave.
I mean, that's. I'm
the
seeing
whole
this stuff
recent
sell.
wave. Like the whole recent wave.
It's what are you saying?
I can see if it was just 1 or 2 I couldn't find. Like the whole recent wave.
But the whole reason wave.
Like the whole recent wave. Far away from being available. Like the whole recent wave. Like the whole recent wave.
That doesn't sound like English to me. It dies.
Sell. I mean, that's you go in the store now. I can go into.
Yeah, I mean, the first half of 2017.
Just some bumps. Oops. Kill it.
And it's putting a slew of new movies coming out.
Yeah.
I'm going to play devil's advocate here and say that I kind of agree.
Yeah.
I'm going to play first.
I thought that might be typing at first, but it sounds like a. I'm gonna go with a water bottle. Or something? I don't know, but I'm saving that too, because that sounds funny also. Alright, let's keep going.
Both of you guys are looking at it from series,
Mm-hmm.
which most of the time those do sell pretty well. Which
Mm-hmm.
most of the time those do.
Oh, that's interesting. So. Huh. Okay. I hadn't caught this until just now. I guess I could have seen it there. I'm going to delete all of the room except for the first one. Zoom back in on this. We've got that breath at the beginning. And you wouldn't really notice that. It's probably, for the most part, you're not going to catch that, but that would drive me nuts. And that kind of also subconsciously will give people a sense of, there we go, a sense of something happening every 30 seconds, even though they might not recognize it. So I'm going to, it looks like there's some kind of sound. No, I think it's just sometimes when you zoom out, like phantom waveforms appear. All right, let's keep duplicating that to the end. Do Where was I? We were right here. Let's keep going.
I'm going to play devil's advocate here and say that I kind of agree with the article. Black series, which of Cassians, you see a lot of, the troopers and whatnot. Because I think so, it's not going to be as much. And Black series is guilty of this too. Some of the heads bad. Poe Dameron, because I couldn't find it anywhere else. And but he looks awful,
right?
And that's a running joke between the Star Wars collector community, is that Poe's like, personally, it's the same toys that we've been getting since the prequels. Like, yeah, you're gonna have
what are you doing, Lou?
Been getting prequels. Like, yeah, you're gonna have light.
That's also getting saved.
Right. It was
it was cool, but it was something new and unique that you hadn't seen before. And I really think you're going to see this like drop in orders.
Yeah, I totally get the point. Voice you're talking with there, because kids don't care how bad. Really, it's. Like, when I was a kid, when it was the original movies coming out, was you got the figures, but then you want to get the playset to put them in.
Yes.
You wanted.
So that menu pops up. If anytime in Reaper, if you double click a region, you'll get taken to the item properties, where you can do all sorts of, I could manually do fades. I could adjust the curve ratio, kind of like a knee. In a compressor, I could mute a region, lock it in place, all that stuff. But sometimes when I'm trying to split a track, I'll just double click on accident, so that menu pops up.
When it was the original movies coming out, was you wanted.
I just realized I've been editing in real time. Ridiculous. 1.6.
Atmosphere of the movie, and I don't see that stuff anymore. So I think Chris was right there talking about you need something different. Well,
that was a throat clear.
Because we haven't had those in a long time. Because we haven't had those in a long time.
Let's kill that.
Because we haven't had those in a long time.
I was going to say that, thinking back to the prequel era stuff, personally, environmental stuff, but the I liked having the figures, but my problem there was because episode 1, you just had the so you could attach them to the Jedi's belt, so you could attach them to the hands, something I like.
Oops. Didn't want to move the region. I wanted to do a trim.
Yeah,
it's a big thing in Star Wars.
It is,
moving hands. Yeah,
they had the Obi-Wan and Anakin like hand, ironically, and the hand itself would be just like an open one, and then it had one that with a lightsaber in it. So you never had, and the hand itself would be just like an open one, and it would.
That's just more of a grunt. Gonna kill it.
The hand itself would be just like an open.
Alright, another one of those big.
And the hand itself would be
inhales that I'm gonna kill.
And the hand itself would be just like an open one, and then
let's do a fade there.
And the hand itself would be just like an open one, and then it had one that with a lightsaber in it. So you never had to worry about losing your lightsaber like you did with episode 2, where you might have the hilt, but you lost the blade, or you had the. Like, if I was a kid, I would be really disappointed because you can't. If you're a kid with a big imagination like I was, you want. Like, if I was a kid, I would be really disappointed that I can move and that you can pose and do things with, but that it's just not how they are anymore. And I think eventually they'll cast and there's only so many. There's only so many that you can buy.
Wars. Anybody else? Another lightsaber. This is awesome, Mom. Thank you. It's like
over and over and over. I don't know why my mom bought them all for me, because I wouldn't have bought my kid the same toys over and over and over.
Oh, let's listen to that again.
Growing up, I don't know why my mom bought them all for me, because I wouldn't have bought my kid the same toys over and over and over.
That is the sound of someone who's not a parent. Chris, one day you'll be a dad, and you'll buy your kid the same thing over and over and over.
Same.
Sawyer's on his second fidget spinner.
Same toys over, but yeah.
Well, I mean, I think we'll see. Because, like you said, Chris, it's a saga movie.
All right, let's make sure that makes sense when they're talking. Over
comes out because,
like
you said, Chris, it's a saga movie.
Okay, yeah, it's fine. That can stay. Let's keep going.
Last Jedi goes because they expect it to do better than Rogue One, but not as good as TFA. And again, I think TFA
Okay, I'm back, but give me a second here to fix this screen. Kill that, yes. Bring this up. Okay, bring in Reaper. So what I did there was instead of... Alright, we should be live again. Instead of hitting Command S, I hit Command Q, which we all know is quit. So the application quit, but we're back. And luckily for me, I hit Apple S over and over and over and over and over again, so we didn't lose anything. Let's keep going.
I mean, we'll see, but I don't know. Hard to predict what is going to happen.
I think it's going to do well. But yeah,
areas, in certain areas.
Oh, I was talking about something though before that happened.
Maybe a different story.
Yeah,
like you said, Chris, it's a saga movie.
That could stay. Nope, I guess. Let's keep going.
Well, it's not that hard to predict. I think it's going to do well. But yeah,
I think areas, in certain areas, and hopefully it'll be better stocked. Hopefully Hasbro learned the lesson, but I mean, I would like to find kids that are really into Star Wars toys and ask them.
So let's look at this real quick.
I would like to.
Yeah, I think so. What happened here is Chris's microphone clipped, and there's not really anything I can do about that. So if we zoom in far enough, you'll see that kind of square right there. So it clipped. If I do a limiter or compress that, it doesn't matter. It's going to distort no matter what I do, so I'm going to leave it.
It's not that hard to predict. I think it's going to do well. But yeah,
I think we'll see more toys too. I would like to find kids that, you know, what kind of toys.
Yeah, and I'm sure they do that. I mean,
let's shorten that gap there. Oops, don't want to delete that whole thing. Bring that forward just a little bit.
Well, do you want to place that? I think that's important too.
Yeah, and I'm sure they do that. I mean, there are playtime toys they play with the most of the ones that kind of make it into the marketing. Yeah. So, yeah, it's just it's funny. You look at this kind of stuff and you think about it, and you kind of scratch your head thinking to yourself, why is this so hard to do when you just need to make stuff we want? and it does boggle my mind that it's.
What was that sound? That was weird.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Makes right. They can never get the the product set right for these guys.
Yep.
Tim, I'll let you take this next one here. You had a note.
Oops, that weird auto mute thing again.
And the whole Make Mine Milkshake thing?
Yeah. This is something. So our listeners probably remember we had Heather Antos from Marvel Comics. She's an editor for Marvel Comics. We had her on episode 100 here of Echo Base. If you don't remember it, if you didn't listen to it, definitely get a drink.
No,
never. I stay home. I don't do anything.
Of course, I don't have friends.
Guys. I don't even have a job. I don't know what you guys are doing.
Well, most normal people.
Are you saying I'm not normal, Tim?
I'm just saying that most normal people.
It's tough when we're stuck here at Echo Base. There's not a lot of stores around. You can't really go out and get a movie or.
I mean, my only friends are the Tauntauns.
Yeah.
And one day they're here, next day they're getting slaughtered by Han Solo. So
well, you got to stay warm somehow. Yeah. All right. Anyway, so last week Heather and a bunch of her coworkers from Marvel Comics happened to go to I believe it was a local Ben and Jerry's in New York City.
So I think let's see.
Drink.
No. Never.
You guys ever go out with friends, coworkers? Get a drink?
No. Never. I stay home. I don't do anything.
Of course, I don't have friends.
Guys. I don't even have a job. I don't know what you guys are doing.
Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna edit this thing. So
home. I don't do anything.
I'm gonna.
Of course, I don't have friends.
So Lou says, "Of course I do," and I'm gonna kill that. And I'm gonna make this all about Chris having no friends.
I don't have friends. Guys. I don't even have a job.
Way to ruin that bit, guys.
I don't even have a job.
Way to ruin that bit, guys. Way to ruin that bit, guys.
I don't even have a job. I don't know what you guys are doing.
All right, I'm going to kill all of this. There.
You got to stay warm somehow. All right. Anyway, so last week Heather.
All right. So we'll keep the anyway, and what I'm gonna do. Boom, boom, boom. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bounce this real quick because that's gonna be part of the trash track. So I'm gonna come in here. Trash track. I should explain that. I don't think I have yet. This comes into play more when I'm editing the single stereo track after I've bounced these 3 tracks down together. And what I do is I've set it so that right under delete on my keyboard there's the backslash, and I've set that hotkey so that what it does is it takes whatever region I've selected, moves it down to track 10, and if you look, trash track is always track 10. You just can't see if I bring up my track manager. You can see that I'm hiding 7, 8, 9. So you just don't see them. It's always track 10 in case I have, up to 9 tracks of any other given thing. And the purpose of trash track is just to be a track of heavy breathing, weird little one-off things like this that I will give to the Premiere channel on Slack. It's just really funny to listen to. Just the constant edits of heavy breathing and and clicks, and just it's just, to me, it's fascinating to listen to everything that gets edited out of a podcast. And so in this particular case, I'm going to bounce this down to its own thing. So I'm going to go to render. Let's see, we're going to render this. I'm going to send it to, I'm going to call it Echo Base Trash Track. I'll call it Echo Base 107 TT bits, and I don't think you can see this window. But I'm going to just render the time selection. It's going to be an MP3 at 192. I'm going to render. All right, so that's been rendered, and now I'm going to delete it. And let's close this gap.
All right. Anyway, so last week, Heather and a bunch of her coworkers, people.
No, I wouldn't think so.
Yeah, nothing strange about people going out with people who they enjoy spending time with and taking a picture and sharing that. But really unfortunate that this kind of stuff happened, and it apparently happened through the weekend. I actually got a little vocal about it on Twitter over the weekend myself. I was pretty ticked off. Marvel. Mm-hmm. So someone started this hashtag of Make My Milkshake, and it went fairly viral on Twitter. It made its way around and had a lot of people kind of went around. So I thought that was pretty neat. It was very classy.
Yeah, look at that picture now. I don't know if it's the same one, but it's like 4 rows of people in this huge image, especially probably 50 people in this image, all with milkshake. Tim?
The one I remember was actually just 2 people from DC, but
okay, no, this is in the DC lobby. It's probably 50 women, but they all have their arms crossed in front of them. All I'm thinking of is
people from DC, but
okay, this is in the DC lobby. It's probably 50 women, but they all have their arms crossed in front of Tim.
The one I remember was actually just 2 people from DC, but
okay, this is in DC,
but
okay,
so just delete that.
But
okay,
DC, but from DC, but
okay, this is in the DC lobby.
DC, but
okay,
let's kill the butt.
DC,
okay, this is
DC,
okay.
And then take that. Edit a little bit of Chris's out so I can move all 3 of these up together, and it now sounds like this.
2 people from DC.
Okay, this is in the DC lobby. It's probably 50 women, but they all have their arms together with this photo. Or?
I'm sure it's probably in support.
I'm sure it's not.
Yeah. So I mean, it just unfortunate thing, and we had some discussion about this before the show, and it's probably in support.
I'm sure it's not.
Yeah. So I mean, it just unfortunate thing, and we had some discussion about this before the show and on it, and
let's go back up to 1.6
on it, and I think that she was very receptive to those, and there were.
I'm gonna kill the Media Explorer.
Her on it, and I think that she was very receptive. Led into this, and it's just really unfortunate.
Yeah, I mean, there's a difference between having an intelligent debate on a topic, and the other end of it is people with no filter.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of the problem with the internet these days is everything's anonymous or at least somewhat removed. You're not in somebody's face. You can say anything you want with no repercussions. Mm-hmm. And if you're not face to face, you don't know the person personally. Like, why would you say that? You wouldn't why would you say that? You wouldn't say it to someone, and it just seems so, as a joke.
Right.
And yeah, it's like, but oh boy.
Yeah. So it's pretty crappy, but it was nice to see over the last few days this huge outpouring from it.
I think in general it's been good to see the support of everybody. When it's a good thing. So
yeah.
At least they could have, made their hashtag grammatically correct.
Chris, my wife would be very proud.
I literally have one problem with this whole spiel, and it's that it's grammatically incorrect.
And there it is.
Yeah, that's my 2 cents. I gave my 2 cents to you guys offline. I'm not going to repeat it here, except that I think it's stupid because it's grammatically incorrect.
You had a problem with the whole Apple think different thing, didn't you?
What was that? That was a nice thing.
I just heard the sigh. I won't go any further.
I do. I can read.
Is breaking up over the internet there.
Yeah, you guys say that I can't read, so I'm going to prove that I can read.
Okay, good, awesome.
You have to,
Another cough. Kill that.
you have to
Should I
shut
read
that
the-
a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away.
Should I read the whole thing, or how do you guys want to do it?
I think there's some really good points brought up in them. I see no reason not to read them through.
That's Jake, not Jacob. It's Jake.
Yeah, it's actually from Kansas. Hi, Jake. Thank you for writing, Jake.
He said in Kansas, not from Kansas. Maybe he's not from there.
Oh, yeah, he is Jake from Jake in Kansas. Interesting. Anyways, so sorry if I get long-winded here, but Jake writes, regarding your discussion of whether or not the Star Wars universe should revolve around the Jedi and the Force, which will, Jake writes, get long-winded here, but Jake writes, regarding your discussion of whether or not the Star Wars universe should revolve around the Jedi and the Force, which you all agree that it should not. I too agree that it should not, Luke or Rey or even Chirrut. However, I also love the sci-fi side of Star Wars. As a kid, I wanted to grow up and be a
All right, real quick. It's very unlikely that there's a question on Random Chatter, but I'm going to hop on just in case somebody has asked a question. Let's see here. No questions. Cool. See if anybody... Nothing on Facebook. All right, cool. Let's keep rolling.
the sci-fi side of Star Wars as this guy. All that being said, I loved The Force Awakens because it said I the theater feeling like a giddy little kid again. My kids, ages. That's it.
I think that Jake brings up some great points.
Okay, I'm gonna kill the that's it. And then let's go there, let's go there, and we will bring these three up.
Right across the galaxy.
I think that Jake brings up some great points. I like his mention that Star Wars is both fantasy and sci-fi, and parts of our interests, and to be a Star Wars fan. There are some people who are huge Star Wars fans who really only pay heed to the films, and that's totally fine.
Some people think the books are garbage, and some people think that some of the writers are garbage too. But I didn't say that. I just think the books are garbage.
And while we
again, that's
respect it. That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
That's some people like.
Looks like Lou's doing something again here. Oh, nothing like a good old beard scratch. Yep, keeping that. That's going in the trash jack. That's too good not to kill.
People like the animated stuff. Some people don't. That's fine. And some people like the animated stuff. Some people don't. And even within all that, some people will like certain. For me, as time went on, I was a little less inclined toward a lot of that, and I got attracted to other parts of the films. But I definitely acknowledge that thoughts in here from Jake. So.
No, I agree 100%, and I like his. But there was, I think,
right.
And unless there's a big scene at the end, it was a big Jedi.
Yep.
But it just gives you that sense of place of where you're at.
Yeah.
I think you'd really like it.
No comment.
Okay. we have another email?
Yes, we do. This is from Steve.
Wow.
So
Nice.
Thanks for following. We appreciate it.
And I will just mention, by the way, Steve, and we're not going to say his full name here, but Steve's email.
Steve writes, I just finished listening to your latest Echo-based podcast, recorded July 11th, in which you discuss if Star Wars films need the Force, lightsabers, or the Skywalkers. I have a couple thoughts and comments for you. First,
Machinations.
Machinations.
okay, of the Force, both light side and dark side, and their effects on the galaxy. Central to that are
Dude, this auto-mute thing's kill.
Signed, Steve.
Also, pretty darn brilliant. I like that he mentions, he kind of turns the story to the story, saying that, hey, this is Han's perspective and this is Ben's perspective to me. So I'm not so sure that those additions are what made it a film. I think if you took those out of it, I think you still could have had a very viable Star Wars film. Vader obviously was in the end of Rogue One was obviously a very amazing thing, and I was actually a whole bunch of Rebel troopers.
Right, that was amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. It really had nothing. It's to me, it's simply because they connected that with A New Hope, and they brought in a major character to do something. But I also had that's what made it a Star Wars film to me. But I understand where Steve's coming from with this.
The end. So that worked for me, even though we didn't see people wielding the Force per se.
Right.
I think the whole thing, he just says it's another religion, and I'm sure he wouldn't say that if he was Sith. He would have been what, like 10, maybe, something like that.
Yeah.
Isn't he like 30 or something in A New Hope?
Yeah.
Isn't he like 30 or something in A New Hope?
I thought he was late. Yeah, well, yeah, pretty much, yep.
But yeah, anyways, I think the reason that we had Chirrut and
More vigorous beard scratching. All right. Let's keep rolling. I did not want to make that split.
I think it was just the right amount that was used. And the Vader thing too, I don't think it was added because you needed lightsabers. I think it was to show that Vader is a character to be reckoned with and not just some old machine or old guy in a machine like some of the original trilogy made him out to be. He is very vicious and menacing.
No, you're right. Because with as scary as he was in A New Hope, when we really even see him do anything, he's really a bad guy. It's like, nah, nice.
And it's also part of
just kill a bunch of kids. That's okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not like he slaughtered. It's not like we visual. Yeah, I think it did a lot for his character, especially to people that might not be too familiar. I actually, funny enough, saw a picture on Facebook of it's one of those Snapchat pictures. A parent had taken a picture of their little girl. The girl was holding Darth Vader. The guy.
That's great.
Yeah,
Nice.
It was cute.
That's great.
Yeah,
Nice.
It was cute.
Well, I think that brings us to the end of another show. If you guys are set with that, or if you
I
guys
do
want
have
to
one
add.
more thought that I forgot to mention.
Okay.
The way I see the Force, and I might have said this in the podcast, but I'm just going to reiterate it. Day, you might go one day without hearing the Force. You might go one day hearing it like 5 times.
Sure.
It's just like something that's there, and if you want to believe in it, you can. But
Yeah.
Very well
for
put.
the unbeliever.
Well, I think that does bring us to the end of the show then. Well, I think that does bring us to the end of the show then. So if anybody has anything that's in the air, please send it to us an email. Best way to do that is to send us an email to echobase@randomchatter.com. That gets to all of us, and we'll read it, and maybe we'll include it in one of our listener feedback shows.
Keyword, maybe. If you send us a novel, we might not read it. Isn't that right, guys?
Maybe.
If you want to follow us on social media, you can do so at our Facebook.
Dude, I'm going to punch this auto mute thing in the face. I'm Googling after this to figure out what triggers that.
If you want to follow us on social media, you can do so at the Curse of Chris.
Wow.
Tim, what is your Twitter?
At Qui-Gon Tim, that's Tim with 2 M's.
And if for some reason you want to follow Lou on Twitter, even though he never tweets.
Mine's just
what's your
boring.
name? Yeah.
It-
And if for some reason you want to follow Lou on Twitter, even though he never tweets.
Mine's just
what's your
boring.
name? Yeah.
It's just my name, so Lusecki, Lusecki.
Your Twitter is like the barren wastelands of Tatooine.
I don't spend much time on Twitter.
Wow.
It's like sand.
It gets everywhere.
It's coarse and it's irritating.
Dude, this auto mute. I just don't get what's triggering that.
It's like sand.
It gets everywhere.
It's coarse and it's irritating.
Oof.
If I don't tweet, how can it be coarse and irritating?
Oof.
If I don't tweet, how can it be coarse and irritating? Come on.
That's
Get
good.
your story
I don't know.
straight. Get your story straight. Come on.
Maybe the fact that you don't tweet is coarse and irritating. Have you ever thought about that?
Maybe.
there's people who are like, man, I wonder what that Lusecki guy thinks about story X. And there's nothing there, it's just empty.
Oh, boy.
Tim, you're up.
Nope.
Find all of our shows at randomchatter.com. Now you're up.
All right, so... Folks, if you like what we're doing here, and even if you don't, spread the word
Actually,
and
Tim,
support
I'm going to
us.
stop you. I'm going to stop you.
What?
You know why?
Why?
Because I'm going to take the chance. Speaking of finding all of our shows at randomchatter.com,
Yes.
yesterday I released an episode with my guest, Saf, who used to be on the Forcecast and does a lot of cool Star Wars stuff.
That's true.
Nice.
Yeah, so you should listen to that.
Absolutely.
Now, Tim, you're free to talk.
So yes, if you like what we're doing here, make sure you spread the word, support us. We definitely appreciate that. Word of mouth is a great thing. You tell folks about us, and hopefully they'll join in on the fun as well. Another way, that's it's not really listed in the perks, but talk to us. We'll do something fun.
And Tim, don't forget to mention the new perk we had the other night.
Which one's that?
They donated $1 million, and what, we sent them a puppy or something? No, a gerbil.
Hamster.
Wasn't it a gerbil? Hamster.
Yeah. We'll send you a hamster.
For $1 million.
Yeah, $1 million. $1 million. It doesn't even have to be a
works.
month. They can just be flat fee $1 million.
Yeah, one time.
So Chris, talk about the music.
Man, you guys, I don't even want to know what goes on Random Chatter whenever now that I'm gone.
You should listen.
I can't because they're not posted yet.
Well, it will be.
I'm glad I left that show now.
There's some crazy stuff going on over there.
Uh-huh, yeah.
Crazy good.
I heard the bonus content. Anyways, music you hear in this podcast is the Force theme by Scandroid and the Imperial March by Cellbweller.
There it is.
There you go.
Take it away.
At
You
that
know
point-
what? You know what? I'm glad that we don't have sponsors, because then I would have to read them, and I don't want to do that. Imagine me trying, like, let's say for some reason, if I don't know, we were sponsored by Star Wars books, I'd have to enthusiastically promote Star Wars books, and we don't want that.
Part of me thinks, gee, we wouldn't put that on you, Chris. But then another part of me thinks, oh yeah,
Yes.
Chris has
Oh, yeah,
to
we
do that.
would. Yeah, Chris has to do the whole book thing. I'm going to start buying Chris the books and mailing them to him.
Yeah.
Hope
I
you
have
hold-
a free Aftermath book if anybody wants it. Never been read.
Okay, so this
There it is.
There you go.
Take it away, Luke.
And
You
that's
know
what?
this whole thing. I am going to do what I did before, but let's see, Lou.
Oh no, we're staying. You're leaving. Good night, everybody. See you next week.
All right, good night, everybody. See you next week. That's the end of the podcast there.
We're leaving. Oh no, we're staying. You're leaving. Good night, everybody. See you next week.
Okay, so
And Imperial March by Celldweller. And you know what?
let's see.
Good night, everybody. See you next week.
Let's go back to normal time.
Good night, everybody. See you next week. Oh no, we're staying. You're leaving. Good night, everybody. See you next week. Good night, everybody. See you next week.
I'm gonna do that. Mute it for now. Which is usually is it Shift M? No, not Command M. So I'm editing on a computer I don't normally edit on. Oh, so I have hotkeys that I'm used to that aren't here. Let's try Control M. There we go. All right, and I'm gonna do is what I did before, which is take this and find where Chris said, you know what, we don't want sponsors. I'm gonna go TT-bit sponsors, and this is gonna be Trash Track. It's not gonna make it. Alright, that's been rendered, so what I will do now is take that, delete it, delete it, delete it, delete that, unmute this region, bring it all the way up here, and that'll be the end of the show.
Celldweller.
Good night, everybody. See you next week.
There we go. All right. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that. Goodbye, everybody. See you next week. But I'm also going to kill all of these room tracks. I'm going to do this. Zoom out. Go all the way to the beginning of the show. And now that I've edited everything I want to edit in this, go to render. It's going to be the MP3 at 192 because everybody sends me MP3s. Otherwise, I would render it into a WAV file. I'm going to do the master mix, the time selection, but I'm also going to do one thing real quick just to make sure. I'm going to add a limiter to, let's see, the master track, just for the bounce. So it's going to be the Waves L1 limiter, which is pretty great, and I know you can't actually see it because there's no window. But in fact, actually, real quick, I'm gonna make it a little window here. We're gonna call it that. Okay, we're gonna call it the. Oh wait, hang on, I did the wrong thing. It's not a video capture device. I'm gonna do a window capture. Oh, you know what? Actually, I can just switch to my computer. Oh, no, I can't. Yes, I can. There we go. Now you see it. I'm going to do the out stealing at -1. And I don't think we're dealing with, I'm not going to lower the threshold or anything yet, because I'm not going to master this until later. But I want to make sure, absolutely, that nothing is going to, like, just peak while I render this. So we'll go ahead and go to render. Render this, and I'm going to call this EB107 pre. Alright, and then I'm going to hit render. And I'm going to make sure nothing is... Oh, here's what... I do this. I swear to God, I do this every time. Okay, good. I've rendered stuff at 1.6 times speed so many times, it's ridiculous. It's the one danger of editing at a high speed. And I've sent stuff to Chris before, and he's like, why is this so fast? And I'm like, dang it. All right, so let's go back to render. Let's render. And again, I will rename this to pre. And I'm going to select down here, add rendered items to new tracks in project. And we're going to render. All right, that took a hot minute, but it's been rendered. You can see it down here. The waveforms are being built, and so now what I'm going to do is get this ready for me to edit later. So I am going to mute, and mute. Now I'm going to go into the track manager right here, and I'm going to get rid of these. Boom, boom. So now all that I am left with, they're still there. You just don't see them. What we're left with is the pre, right? Which when I do end up editing, it's going to be nice and, oops, I'm moving stuff around when I don't mean to. It's going to be nice and big. And I'm actually going to hide the dock using Alt-D. I'm going to hide that. I'm going to make this huge so I can see everything. And we'll be zoomed in pretty far as well. I have the intro, outro music here, which also contains some of the stuff I wanted on the trash track. So we're going to grab this stuff, bring it down, bring it over here. And there's a, I've selected these regions. There's an action. It's called Snap. Let's see, Snap, Regions, Snap, Selected, Regions. It's a Lua. No, that's not what I want. Selected. Let's see. Move selected. No, that's not what I want. Where is it? Snap selected items to each other. There we go. Now they're all in the front there. And I'm going to mute that because I don't want it. This is going to be all the intro and outro music. And if I had any sound effects or anything like that I wanted to put in there, they're going to be in there. And that's it. So next time when we get together, probably Tuesday, I'm going to edit this track, which is now everybody talking.
Welcome back to Echo Base. It's a nice bomb. Welcome back to Echo August. I really wish we were at Echo Base because, well, join me. How are you tonight?
I am doing so good.
Right. So I'll be doing things like, so I'm going to turn on ripple editing up here. All right. And so what that means, when there's a pause, like right here.
Hot for me.
Right. I'm going to go in here, go like that. I'm going to delete that, and it's going to ripple to the left. Just like that. It's fantastic.
Well,
right. Another like awkward pause here. Delete. All right. So that's mostly what the editing is going to be. It's going to be killing a lot of ums, a lot of all that, and I'll be sending stuff to the trash track. And that's that. So I am going to end this stream. Feel free to comment with any questions. Anybody that's going to watch us on Slack, hit me up there. And YouTube in general, or Facebook, whatever, hit me up with any questions you have about anything that I did, or comments about something I should do instead. That's it. All right, so I'm going to end this stream. Have a good night. I'll catch you later.